Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining LTK's webinar today featuring holiday shopping predictions. So today we'll be talking about holiday shopper insights and really how to help your brand be more successful in yet again a shifting market. So we talk a lot about LTK about this concept of being more, and really what we feel and what we know and what we've seen through our data is that creators can really partner with your brand to be more, and that stands for believable, efficient, memorable, organic throughout the holiday season. And so what we're going to be talking about today is through some holiday shopper insights we've done through both a consumer study that we conducted, as well as looking at on-platform data. So jumping ahead today, I'll be presenting a brief presentation, and then we'll have a conversation with LTK's Reesa Lake. Reesa is responsible for growing our creator team and really expanding it. So think those Gen Z that you're trying to reach, millennials that you currently work with. She's really responsible for keeping a grasp of the market and helping coach creators to plan and prepare for a holiday. So a bit about LTK, just starting with who we are, how we sit in this space. So LTK, in case you're not familiar, we're a creator commerce platform. And really what we have experience in is powering technology for not just creators, but brands and consumers. Our business has dedicated teams across each one of those segments of the marketplace. And from a brand standpoint, we really help you harness the power of creator through technology, relationships with those creators, as well as the market to run campaigns and strategic placements to reach targeted creators. I think this slide does a great job. It's a pretty complex space if you think of it. You have on the left-hand side there, those images of creators. They have a choice every day of what channel they're going to post on, and not just what channel they're going to post on, but really what exact product are they going to link to? And then on top of that, what brand should they link through for that product? And so that's represented there on the right side of the page. And so really what LTK does for you and for your brand is we help bring that to life. We merge the creators, the channels they're posting on across every single channel together with that product level data and the products and the brands that they can link to on our platform. And we merge kind of that art and that technology together to really bring to life that commerce, that creator commerce for your brand. Fast forward 11 years later, we have so much data on our hands. We can really pull together true insights to build your program to scale and stand out, to really stand the test of time in the creator marketing landscape. So the thing we love about creator commerce is, again, it's truly data first. We kind of talked on the previous page just about all the different insights, all the different pieces of the puzzle there are. It could kind of seem like creator just was created on a whim. However, LTK does have a suite of products really allowing creators to power and track billions of dollars of retail sales every single year to each of our brand partners. These are creators posting millions of LTK posts inside of our consumer property, and they distribute them across all of their channels. Our 11 years of proprietary data really allows us to deliver industry-leading results to our brand partners, a lot of which you will see kind of woven in throughout this presentation. You can see not just which creators will be powerful partners to your brand, but when they should connect to their audiences across what channels, and really what types of messages and types of content resonates with their audiences. And all of this is powered through our 5-star shopping app. And we just recently reached 10 million users or 10 million downloads. So really, you'll see some of the LTK on property data throughout this presentation. I think it's super interesting to kind of weave that throughout, just given how consumers and the scale that's within our app. So all this to say, we understand the way consumers shop to kind of yield results for your brand. And we do know that we can power those results through creator. So that's a bit about us. Just diving in a little bit of housekeeping before we jump into our predictions for the day here. But we do have our next webinar. It's going to be focused on another hot topic, Gen Z. kind of just coming off of holiday, prepping for holiday in August, which feels crazy to be talking about holiday when it's still 100 degrees where I am. But we'll kind of be switching gears and talking about Gen Z, such an important player in the market. Lots of great insights kind of woven throughout our next Gen Z shopper study, both on Gen Z in general, as well as diving in a little deeper about how Gen Z will shop through holiday. And that is Wednesday, September 21st at 2 to 3 Eastern time. So great. Moving forward to what we plan to cover today, we will be sharing some insights from a recently conducted national consumer study specifically focused on holiday and shopping habits during holiday. And really, when we conducted this study, one kind of thing top of mind is we're entering yet another year filled with kind of twists and turns. No one knows what's going to happen with the economy. So one thing we wanted to be really impactful and think through is what's going to be different about holiday this year. How should brands be navigating? We're obviously a quarter out from that, but want to get ahead of it now the best that we can and really pay close attention. So we did conduct a national shopper study, and we'll be sharing those results there. As well as we also recently conducted an inflationary shopper study. So we've merged those two studies, and we'll be presenting findings from both, as well as we will hear directly from Reesa on how we're prepping creators for holiday. So jumping forward, this is just a bit more about exactly how we conducted our study. All of this will be shared post-presentation. I won't read word for word here, but we conducted two studies, so about 2,000 participants in total, one in May and one in July. And our findings are reflective of adult women and men ages 18 plus in the US with 97% confidence. So jumping forward, so before we jump to exact predictions, we're going to talk about where we are now going into holiday. And it will be more of a macro view approach. Where does that leave us in 2022? The market is unlike what we've seen in over a decade. 2022 is proving to be another unique year with consumers facing unique hurdles, most particularly inflation and economic pressure. And I think this is the third year in a row we've said it's a unique year. So here we are yet again, hopefully all experts now with shifting and pivoting on the fly. But you've probably seen a lot of this in the headlines. So on the next page here, we have some data just from sources. I'm sure a lot of these publications we read. So 70% of Americans think we're heading into a recession. 92% are concerned about inflation. And then that bottom stat there. So from a recent LTK study, 82% of all consumers report that their income has actually stayed the same or increased, but the majority are saying their buying power might be down a little bit. So all this to be said, it's really important because we could sit around and talk and debate, what's going to happen this year. Are we going to go into recession? How long will it last? What will recovery look like? But really what we're thinking forward to on our end is consumer behavior. Is it already shifting? If so, what can we do now to prepare for it? The good news is that creator marketing is based on kind of macro trends that have been in play for years. So that shift to mobile, the shift to digital, bringing content consumers in social channels that they're consuming on their mobile devices, knowing the impact on different groups and understanding how the economy and how these kind of big stats that stand out in the headlines then on your webpage when you're catching up on news for the day, really how they're actually impacted by these data points. So you can really proactively lean into channels that are going to well position your brand during inflationary times. So the next page here, kind of for starters, the shopper impact. It's actually what we're seeing through our inflationary study is it's not completely created equal. What was interesting in the study is that we found that actually there's different sectors of the population that are disproportionately affected by inflation, especially with their perception of the current situation. So despite the inflationary environment, Gen Z's purchasing power is actually increasing. This is largely due to the fact that their overall purchasing power is growing at a faster rate than other generations. And millennials are also less impacted by inflation. We've also seen through our research that Gen Z and millennial are feeling less impact, not just less impacted by inflation, but they're actually more engaged with creator commerce, proving this as an opportunity to really allow brands to lean into these segments that are already highly engaged with creators on all the different social channels, to really drive better margins through this tactic. And again, this segment of the population controls over half of the purchasing power in the US. So it's a pretty big segment to make sure you're paying attention to. So this is a data heavy alert page, and it's going to be the last kind of economy piece that we're going to talk about today. But just kind of pausing to read what we see here on the page. So again, we talked about millennials and Gen Z being the least impacted and the most likely to shop creator. But what's going on? How has, based on our recent study, how is the buying power? The data you see here in the center of the page, the buying power has stayed the same or increased for 62% of Gen Z, 52% of millennial, and 48% of the general population. And then just thinking forward, so intent to spend on holiday 2022. So 53% of the general population intend to spend more. And then when we kind of slice and dice it down and we look at maybe those whose buying power has stayed the same or increased, we actually see 75% of them planning to spend more. So a great opportunity for brands to really hone in on what those groups are and target them in marketing and through creator commerce. So the majority of people are, of course, watching finances closely, but just to recap, Gen Z and millennial continue to be the least impacted, and their buying power is the most likely to have stayed the same or increased. They're also the group most likely to shop creator through digital and showing the least sign of spend slowing down. So that is our little prediction for the economy. Again, no one has a crystal ball, but that's what our data is saying. So now that we have that kind of laid out, what's to come and how can you act? The insights we're going to go through kind of in this back part of the presentation before we move to the panel is really focused on what's different this year. How can you pivot? How can you adjust? We know creators a channel that's proven to adapt to changes very quickly. We saw it time and time again throughout, the start of the pandemic with creators leaning into campaigns that maybe a brand needed photo shoot content for or visuals for. So it's a channel that's efficient. It's not just driving that inspiration, but it's also driving that call to purchase. So kind of hitting on multiple parts of the funnel. So this year, we actually see price as the number one driver behind convenience, which is different than in years past. So I'm just going to read other ways shoppers are curbing inflation. So based on a recent consumer study that we conducted, here are the ways that consumers kind of flagged as how they're curbing inflation. So number one is shopping price first and convenience second. Mobile. And using social shopping through creators, considering brands with best prices, still splurging in key categories and driving less. And so those are just some ways of how consumers at more of a macro level are thinking about how they plan to curb inflation. Looking at the data on the right here, so how they're going to do that is number one is shopping for sales and deals when looking to save money this holiday season. I think, you see this shift to digital, you have more at your fingertips than ever. You're wanting to drive less to save on gas. And really what you're doing is you're shopping online and you're kind of deal hunting. 70% of our consumers surveyed in our recent holiday survey said they plan to shop holiday deals and sales to help save money. Bringing kind of all of this data home for brands, creators check the box on kind of each data point you see here on the page. Each of them are there. I mean, creators have adjusted right through the pandemic. They've been promoting sales. They've been promoting deals. They've been using video to really showcase unique value of products and unique benefits of products, especially in those splurge categories there. If you're being asked to do less with more, creators are definitely a solution for holiday that plugs into those macro trends that we're already seeing playing out. And then we're also seeing the way consumers intend to shop for holiday is while it's predominantly online, we're also seeing kind of that impact what is happening on their phone. So here's just, again, some more data of how they plan to shop for holiday. 53% plan to do the majority of their shopping online. So again, over half of the population is going to do more than 50% of their shopping online. The bulk, so 96% plan to do some of their shopping online. So that's pretty much everyone. And then 86% will be shopping on their phone. So again, we see just this really strong shift to digital based on kind of where things are today. And consumers are also on their phone. So deals and sales will continue to just be a greater importance this year. And I think this data, seeing this from a recent study, really brings this home. We know the majority of consumers are online, they're on their phones, they're shopping around to different websites to see how they can save some money. And then social media. So looking at the data on this page, again, another data page, we'll break it up here in a minute. But this is looking at some shopping originating from social media. So you think you're on your phone, what are the apps that you're going to the most? Many of them are going to be social apps. And most of those you think of maybe it's going to inspire purchases. And we've seen that time and time again. So not just inspiring purchases, but actually bringing it full circle and full to the bottom of the funnel. So we see this slight shift from the general population to Gen Z, having some of their shopping actually through social channels. And so they're being inspired to shop with what they see. So 72% of the general population, 81% of millennials, and 83% of Gen Z. So while you might think this is a phenomenon, it's largely now affecting that you think might be just affecting newer generations. It's kind of the norm. Social shopping and being inspired through social is what we're seeing, just this shift with what might have been, one tactic one day, a handful of years ago, but now it's kind of impacting everything in the way consumers are shopping in a more fragmented environment. And so when we take a step back and we say, okay, great, we're sold, we know everyone is shopping on their phone through social channels, but where? This is taking it just a little bit deeper. And it's looking at the top platforms for shopping creator. So we put here, the data you're looking at is general population and Gen Z. And you see Instagram is kind of coming in number one across both groups there. And really where we see the difference is that number two spot. So for Gen Z, we're seeing TikTok take number two for shopping creator, with Facebook number one, and for the rest of the population, and then YouTube being number three for all. And I think too, during our Gen Z study, we'll dive in a little bit deeper about the importance of video and just that progression that we've seen through short form video. But I think that's really what we've seen spike and take off so much on our platform recently in the recent quarters. And those are all content that you'll see across these channels. And then you're saying, okay, that's great. Who shops on social media? We see over half of the general population and a whopping 71% of Gen Z are actually shopping influencers through social media. So those are majority numbers here. Again, it's kind of just bringing all of it home and honing it and taking it a little bit deeper. So social shopping and being not just inspired by creator, that shopping is happening. So you're seeing kind of that efficiency, again, going back to that be more strategy, from that inspiration to that path to purchase is happening within these different channels. And I'm not surprised because based on recent studies, we've actually seen creators outperforming and being 4 times more influential to consumers than celebrity posts. I always say, and I say it to our brands time and time again, so this saying isn't going to be any of a surprise, but you've opted into these creators' lives. It's the most powerful opt-in email marketing campaign you could have because, consumers have chosen to follow creators. And when they're promoting a product, you've bought products from them before. You trust them. You trust what they're saying. And so we're seeing that through our shopper studies as well. So with social influencers being kind of that most influential, especially to impact purchase decisions on social media. So audiences are naturally turning to creators to tell them what they should buy. And that's likely due to the authenticity in the messaging and the trust that their audience base has with them and has built with them over the years. And then touching on efficiency a little bit. So again, we know that a bulk of purchasing is going to happen online this year, but we also know purchasing happens offline. You're out and about, you're at the mall, you're running errands, you're going to also purchase online. So we really see that efficiency moving beyond just a click. So creators are also driving shoppers in store too. And this is looking at data from a recent study. Consumers who raised their hand and said, I've actually purchased product in store because of a creator. And so we see 45%, so almost half a millennial, buying product in store through creator recommendations, and 42% of Gen Z. We've done a few different tests with brands, more bespoke tests, and the results have been similar. We've been able to kind of prove that lift in sales, that lift in traffic, showing that creators really drive performance beyond just that last click model. So breaking up all this data here with some beautiful holiday imagery, we've seen a ton of data, and at the end of the day, creators are really only going to perform if they're doing their jobs by speaking authentically to their consumer bases and through their audiences that they've curated and built and formed a relationship with over time. This content is just a very small glimpse into the types of imagery and the types of content you can see through creator. Hundreds of thousands of pieces of imagery are, put out there all the time, especially prepping for holiday. And I think this content does a good job of summarizing the results you see on this page. And these results are in-app results that we're seeing. So we've seen our monthly LTK app user base grow in the double digits per month. So when we look at 1H of last year versus looking at kind of all the months through this year, we've seen that user base continue to grow in the double digits. And not just that, we've seen that conversion rate held steady. So while that user base is growing, we've really seen kind of that trust and that relationship with creators and that conversion rate kind of hold true, which from a brand standpoint, that's great, right? We're just getting you more eyes, more traffic, but we're not necessarily compromising that conversion rate for your brand. So that's kind of just a little bit of behind the scenes on platform data and some beautiful imagery to break up all of these talking points. So again, moving into, how this year is going to be a little bit different when consumers start shopping for holiday. That's been a big theme of what we've talked about here at LTK. We actually predict that shopping is going to start a bit earlier this year, but it's still going to expand through the same window. So it's just going to start earlier and it's going to keep on going through the typical November and December timeframe. And so this year we'll just have a longer holiday shopping season. So think seeing holiday content, we're talking about holiday now, you're seeing holiday content now. So you're just going to see it for a little bit longer this year is what we predict. And looking at the data here from our recent holiday study, 47% of consumers say they're going to start their holiday shopping between September, which is crazy enough, in a couple of weeks, through mid-October, meaning they're going to start planning for holiday then. And then 36% of those consumers say they're going to shop earlier this year. So to capture more eyeballs, it's getting ahead of that strategy, being seen on the social channels through creators that you want to be seen on, and kind of capturing that audience earlier than maybe you typically would have in years past. And then this chart here just looks again at a breakdown of when consumers plan to start holiday shopping. So again, heavy through September, October, and then of course the typical November and December. So most people will have started their holiday shopping by early November. And then switching gears again, just some more on-platform LTK data. So this is a chart from last year, and we looked at any gift-related search within our LTK app. So think of all the users interacting within the app. We get a really awesome sample of different types of consumer trends. And so this is looking at last year. We see gift-related searches grow 232% starting in October. So we actually see a spike last year. We saw a spike in October. If we had to just guess in a crystal ball, we're going to see that spike happening this year in September. And of course, that chart's going to keep going up because that shopping window isn't changing. It's just going to start earlier. But this is just a glance of consumer activity within our app, consumers interacting with gifting searches. And then this is some sample search terms. And I thought this was super interesting to look at. So again, this is looking at in app. So in the LTK app, if you don't have the shopping app yet, you should totally download it. But we actually see 61% of consumers anticipate to spend more or the same on shopping for themselves or their homes and holiday. And this made me chuckle a little bit because I was like, that's actually probably really true when I think about it, because I do need those boots like we see in our top searches in November. And I also do need a New Year's outfit, which is the #2 search in December. And so we see kind of this progression. Of course, gifting is always going to be the #1 or number thought of topic for a holiday, but we also kind of see this progression to consumers thinking about kind of how can I prepare, how can I create these special moments for my family and my loved ones during holiday. And we see those moments sprinkled throughout, the aggregated search data in our app as well. And then jumping to the creator side. So again, at the start of the call, I think what makes LTK so unique is we're this three-sided marketplace. We work with brands, we have our consumer app, like I just showed you the data from, and then we also have our creator side of the business. And so in a minute, we're going to switch gears and we're going to have a conversation with Reesa to talk about creators on our platform. But this is a glimpse of, again, creator posting habits and occurrences within our LTK app. So when looking at kind of every piece of content published in our LTK app during key seasonal moments in Q4, you see those gifting occurrences for creator really start spiking in September. So they're getting prepared. They're talking to their audiences about it in September. And we see that peaking in November because, of course, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that's going to be the biggest moment there in November, and holding strong through December. And so creators are talking about gifting in September. We see it really spike in October. And so last year, October was kind of that big moment for creators. And that is what I have today. So really just to summarize, I'm going to read through some points here. We covered them. Again, this presentation will be available in your inboxes after the webinar, but Gen Z and Millennial are the least impacted by inflation and the most engaged with creator commerce. Consumers shopping shifting to price first rather than convenience first, which is different than years previously. The majority of shopping will be online and on their phones for holiday. And the majority of people actually already shop on social channels through creator and are more influenced by creator than they are by ads and celebrities. And influencers are driving traffic, not just online, but in store. So kind of touching all aspects of where your product could be sold. Holiday shopping windows we predict are just going to expand this year. 36% of the population admit they will be shopping earlier. And consumers are not just shopping for others, but also prepping to make special moments for their families and loved ones through holiday, as well as shopping for themselves. So that is what we have. I appreciate you listening, but from here, we're going to switch gears. And I'm really excited to introduce Reesa Lake, who's joining us today. So Reesa is LTK's Vice President and Head of Creator Expansion and Agency Partnerships. And she's really responsible. I'll let her give an overview of her role and what's changed. But from a brand standpoint, the way I think about it is really where the industry is growing. That's what's so cool to hear from someone like Reesa. And really, how do you want to use that growth of where the industry is growing to kind of harness success in your business? So for today specifically, in the data we shared, we'd honed in on hearing about Reesa, on how LTK helps prep creators for holiday content, general trends she's hearing and seeing in the space, what she's hearing directly from influencers. She's talking to them day in and day out. So from a brand standpoint, she's kind of your eyes and ears on the ground to really tell you how to drive performance to your business. So I'll hand it over to you, Reesa. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to let you open the floor with just kind of, we talked to you in Q1 to brands, but kind of what have you been up to and what's been going on in your world since then?
Amazing. Well, it's nice to be back. I feel like a lot has happened over the past, oh my gosh, 7 months. I do have to say, I am not aligned with the research. I am the worst last minute shopper that there possibly is. And I should have dressed more festively for this holiday webinar, but I'm excited to be here and chatting all things kind of creator holiday. We are so excited. We just actually got back from our first IRL event in LA. We met with 170 creators, which was so nice to be back in person. And that was a great event because we also were able to partner with some of the brands on site who were also on LTK. So while we had brands like Lulu's Gifting and I Buy Direct Gifting, we were then able to say creators that were receiving those products, make sure that you know that you can actually get commission on those products. So it was a nice full circle moment. And one of the things I really realized is that we're starting to it feels almost like Groundhog Day from the early days of influencer and kind of pre-pandemic of influencer. I'll use a couple of examples. Like if you think about the press trip pre-pandemic, there was this birth of the press trip. They were traveling all around the world to these exotic locations. Creators and influencers were so excited to go. And then all of a sudden there was a little bit of fatigue. And then there were big price points to get those huge creators to go on these press trips. And, there was the birth of the gifting lounge and there were the press events. And then there was like a little bit of fatigue and creators started to pull back from these moments to interact with brands. And I'm seeing that now it's like the rebirth of the press trip and, creators are excited to get back out there and engage with brands. So it's been exciting to see kind of that connection of creator and brand again, which is really nice. And just really a way to build the relationship. And you touched a little bit around just like the authenticity between brand and creator. It's nice to see that while there are still transactions that are part of these partnerships, that meaningful relationship's really important. We have been focusing on really bringing new creators to LTK and helping to give them, additional opportunities to monetize. But also my team has been partnering really closely with the brand partnerships team here at LTK to surface new creators for your brands. I mean, we have seen, a lot of creators rise in popularity. We've seen them launch their own businesses and brands, but what we're finding is there's so many new creators out there. And when I say new, I'm not talking about micro and nano. I'm talking about creators with millions of followers, with really engaged audiences who can really move the needle for brands. And being able to partner with the team and surface new creators has been exciting. We recently did a campaign with one of the clients here at LTK, and 9 out of the 11 creators cast for that campaign were all net new creators. They were creators that new to the brand, they were new to LTK again, but with substantial followings and also really great engagement and the ability to drive commerce. I think back to a few years ago, I used to say that I could barely count the amount of minutes before I would say TikTok in a day. I feel like I can barely count the amount of minutes before I say Gen Z in a day. It is, I wish it was an Andy Cohen drinking game. We would be quite toasted right now, but I feel like everybody is really talking about Gen Z, and whether that is, the type of content that they're producing or even just the power that they have with commerce, which you talked on earlier. We are really focused in bringing new opportunities to Gen Z talent, but then also really helping to educate Gen Z creators on how they work with brands, because for them, it is not as natural to, put a link in a bio or to include a sticker tap in a story. It feels a little bit more foreign, whereas some of the original bloggers and Instagrammers who grew up understanding the power of commerce, Gen Z takes a little bit of education on both sides. So we are running a big campaign right now with one of our partners who understands everything that has to do with college markets. And we are activating with 50 Gen Z creators who've all created their LTK shops. And we're really excited to pull the learnings from these campaigns and bring them to the brand partners. And then we're also looking at different verticals and different types of talent. One thing that I really saw during the pandemic is that creators who had almost kind of a traditional skill or talent really accelerated. So using the example of somebody like a Megan Roop, who is a fitness instructor who's built out a phenomenal business training, influencers and training her community. as an audience and a community, they're equally as invested in her skincare, what she's dressing her daughter in. They want to know everything that touches her life. So we're seeing that these creators who are expanding outside of their vertical are performing really well for brands. So think about food creators who now are someone like a Half-Baked Harvest, who is really known for, like, everybody loves the sweaters that she wears. So we're seeing a huge growth in these kind of almost like talent, expert driven influencers. So lots going on, but I would say Gen Z talent based influencers are where I'm seeing a lot of success right now.
Yes, Gen Z, it's a hot topic. And we were just laughing that we normally don't feel old until you start talking about Gen Z and you're like, oh yes, I have to relearn all this. But no, I think one thing too that you said at the beginning is it's such a relationship industry. And that's something I've always talked with brands about. It's not an ad that you're buying. It's not a TV commercial that you're doing a placement on. It's a relationship that you're forming with a human, and you're going to see kind of, the fruits of that show itself through not just, those paid campaigns, but really through building that relationship and kind of seeing those results over time. So I think that's a good summary for everything you just said. So holiday, it's the hot topic. When does your team start preparing to talk to creators about holiday? What goes into that? Just any details you can share on that.
Yeah, kind of a two-part answer to that. The first part is we're talking to our talent now about a holiday and how they should be planning, and how is their content going to look different this year than it has in previous years. I had a call with Anna from Glitter and Lasers, who I think she has 1 million across all different platforms, and she's all about really creative video. And while she does want to partner with brands, that video content has to be really creative. So she's actually going to create a mini film that she's going to integrate brands into that, is very different than that kind of traditional, here's a gift guide, go buy this for your mom, go buy this for your dad. So I think that we're going to see more creative content, which also comes with more lead time, which kind of goes into the part two of going back to what you just said about relationships. I know firsthand from being on the talent side that crunch time of November to December is a very busy time for a creator. And sometimes I don't think that brands understand that brands that are planning now, those creators aren't involved in those plans. So they don't know until they get that final offer that's negotiated what the opportunity in the deal is, which might even put them out to November and December, which puts a tremendous amount of pressure on them to actually produce that content in a way that the way that the brand is looking for it to perform. And I think that we have to really understand that these creators are people, and they also have families that they are celebrating with, and that they may be traveling, and that there's life moments that may actually interrupt a brand campaign. And while we may all be planning that brand campaign for 3 months, like, they've only had visibility into it for maybe a week. So I think just really remember, especially as we go into holiday time, that creators are people, and that as much time that you can give them as possible is going to benefit the type of content that you get, but is also going to benefit the way that they think about you as a brand. So I heard firsthand from a creator last year that she said that she would never work with a specific brand before because they were just so unflexible during the holidays, and they didn't understand that she was sitting down to a holiday meal with her family, and they were just stalking her for previews and whatever it was that they needed. And they really took the human element out of that relationship. So I absolutely believe in contractual deliverables and deadlines, but I think the more leeway that you can provide that creator, the better, and that they're going to remember you as a partner versus saying, oh my gosh, I'll never work with that brand again. Yeah. And also I add one more thing there. There is this sense right now of executives and professionals and even creators, like, protecting their personal time. And I'm seeing, signatures from managers and agents, and, a lot of top creators have managers and agents, but those managers and agents also go on holiday and go on break. And there's signatures and emails that say, like, my working hours may not be your working hours. So I think, again, the more time that you can build in to give all parties the opportunity to really exceed or excel, you're going to see them exceed, hopefully, those expectations.
Basically, brands on the phone, start those holiday contracts now with LTK. The other thing I will say that I've known just through being on the campaign side for so long is calendars actually fill up. So yeah, creators will book. So not just that, you're up against the gun of schedules and everything. But on top of that, if you think of every link as a market share, especially during Q4, you want that prime spot. You want that Super Bowl ad during our kind of big moment. And the longer in advance you can plan for that, the more likely you're going to get that market share and get that real estate.
That's great. That's a great point too. And you're also probably going to find cost efficiencies within your campaign. So you're not going to have to pay any of those rush fees. If you're the first one in with the offer, most likely you'll get that really exciting creative opportunity. There's a lot, I feel like, more perks that come with planning ahead versus just trying to do everything last minute.
Yeah. And I think this year too, right, from like an efficiency standpoint, we know people are going to be trying to get the toy they need for their kids sooner than years past because inventory could be an issue and people are worried about that. So it's just like the earlier you can get it, it's just going to be a longer chance of eyeballs and exposure and market share. But no, that's great. And I think it's great just to hear real life examples. It's been so long since we've all been together in person. And so hearing, exact examples from creators is always so helpful. So kind of diving in now that we know you're talking about holiday now, which again, it's funny because I'm thinking in my head, like, I haven't even thought of like Halloween yet here we are completely planning for holiday. What type of strategy do you share with creators? Things like linking or channel posting habits. Like, how do you think about that kind of from a macro level, and any examples you could share?
Yeah, we're definitely already talking with creators. My team and the creator success team here at LTK have strategy sessions with creators pretty much all day, every day. And that includes really looking at one, what are the features and what are the opportunities to amplify their content using LTK, the app, but then also links, and then also just their overarching strategy. One thing that we also do is we look at performance from last year. What types of content performed really well? What categories, what products, and then also even just like the timing of when that content performs so that they could better, work on their content calendar to make sure that they're reaching those kind of even shipping deadlines. Also working with them and kind of conceptualizing what is going to make the most sense in terms of what are people searching for. So like you said, at LTK, we have so much data, really being able to take and, again, going back to my conversation I had with Anna, she's like, I want to know exactly when I need to be posting when people are searching for, holiday gifts, or, if somebody is trying to plan out their tablescape or what they're cooking for Thanksgiving, like what is the timeline that consumers are actually doing those online Google searches or LTK searches that they can actually produce that content. So it's a little bit of, art meets science in terms of art being the content, science being the data that we're able to actually provide to that creator. And then also we are looking at, what brands are, increasing their commission rates, what brands when are their sales coming out? There's a lot that we're providing in just transparency from our brand side to give them the opportunity to make smart decisions when it comes to their links.
Yeah. And I think that's so smart. So basically brands on the phone, everything you get on our side, creators are getting on their side. And that's something I always think, wow, that's like a free perk. You're not having to educate and do all this as a brand. We're essentially doing that heavy lifting for you, Reese's team. So it's just cool to see kind of that similar strategy. It's similar, yet very different.
Yeah, and some creators are really eager for that strategy, and they want all of the information. They want a very detailed plan of what they should be posting, when they should be posting, and others, definitely lean more to the art side, and it's what they feel like when they feel like. And it may change from, season to season, from month to month, from week to week. And also from platform to platform, we see continuously that platforms are changing, the functionality of apps. And one day it's a swipe up, then it's a sticker click. We are also making sure that our creators are set up for success as different platforms are changing their functionality, and that they're actually able to lean in to content on their LTK app as well as their own properties.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point. We've seen kind of this new channel emerge every, handful of years. I think last we said it was like every 3 years or so. This year it's TikTok. And I mean, we see that in Gen Z, but it is educating and setting up for any channel that's current now. And, pivots are the theme of everything these days. So whatever the next channel is, we can pivot to that. You kind of touched on this a little bit, but how do creators decide to like which brands they want to link to. And we briefly touched on that at the beginning. They can link to
Yeah.
literally any product, any brand that they want if they're not in a paid campaign.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they are looking, and again, the ones that are kind of art meets science, they are looking at really what are the commission rates, what are the cookie windows, who has the highest commission rate, the longest cookie windows. They're also looking at what brands are typically running sponsored content, because they're thinking maybe if they perform in an organic way, they'd have the opportunity to get a sponsored post from that brand. They're also thinking about a brand's maybe their core values and how they have, stood up throughout the year, how they align with their own personal values. They're also thinking about how they can increase their earnings with specific retailers and brands. And ultimately, they are also looking at really who has been a great partner, who do they like working with, and also who does their community and their audience want to hear from, and who do they want to see the creator partnering and working with. So again, a little bit of art meets science, but I'd say for those that really take it and are building a big affiliate click business, they're looking at the commission rates in those cookie windows.
Yeah, we've seen a huge shift to that, especially as the industry's matured. I feel like even just a handful of years ago, it's always been a topic, but especially now, it's such a larger industry and it's more established, and there's more data that we have at our fingertips. So it's matured, and I think just the decisions creators have to make are more impacted on things like commission and cookie window than they were just even a few years ago.
Yeah, I had a creator who she posted a shoe. It was a luxury price point shoe, and she linked to one retailer that she was very comfortable with. She linked to them quite frequently, and we did a little analysis. And if she would have linked to a different retailer, I'm not going to name any names, she would have made, I think it was $2,500 in the difference between those two links, and that was only one link, one Instagram story, one post. Whoa. She's also a power converter. So follow up with the brand team, laugh later, and maybe they'll tell you who she is.
Yeah. I'm sure every brand on the phone is like, can we please work with whoever that creator is? No, but that's a great kind of anecdote and a great like real life story of just like how detailed we can get with the data and how detailed we can get with that linking strategy.
Oh, I'm gonna add one more thing to what also impacts creators is they also like, and I know there's lots of conversations just about, creators and contracts, and they're quite frequently asking about payment terms. Like they also want to work with brands that, are paying out, and that they know that they are going to receive those funds as quickly as possible, because they are going out of pocket to do those shoots.
Yep. That makes sense. So like when they sign those contracts, net 90, those kind of like longer payment terms, it makes it a little less flexible for creators. Yeah, it's just this year we saw it through the data, affordability, convenience, they're words that keep coming up, mostly affordability, sales, promotions. So price is the number one factor. And I think we've seen this shift to creator. I don't remember the exact stat, but we've just seen this huge surge in creators promoting certain promotions. That's kind of the science again behind the data and understanding what's driving consumers. The art is kind of how you bring that message to life. And I think that's always, that's what's going to make your brand unique. That's what makes that creator unique. Creators are people too. And so we can always coach them on best practices. But again, it's a good reminder. It's a people-based industry. So kind of moving to 2022. So fast forward to this year. So the last couple of years, we've seen that this year is going to be again another unique year. People are looking closer at finances than years previously. Have you seen creators' content adjusting? We've seen, a shift in some creators promoting more price, but I guess what do you see on your end from kind of talking to creators day in and day out?
Yeah, I think it's really specific to the creator. I think that there definitely is this, there's a creator and a talent who can really be the guide when it's anything sale related. So it feels like they're almost like this insider, like someone like a Mint Arrow is a great example. Like her audience knows that she's going to break down all of the best sales. She's going to track them down. She's going to find them. So they're like, there's this resource and this value that she's bringing to her community. Another thing that we're seeing is that a lot of creators who may not want to like continuously talk about sales, but they want to be really conscious about the options that they're giving to their audience is really taking advantage of the similar similar in the LTK app. So if somebody, the girl who I mentioned earlier, who posted about the luxury shoes, one of the things that she really loves about LTK is that she can do a similar product for her audience that still wants that same style, but maybe at a more of affordable price. So we're seeing creators definitely leaning in and taking advantage of that opportunity on the LTK app. Sales are 4 times higher in the LTK app because, it's a shopping app, and we know that the content is definitely converting higher, especially when it is that similar product or offering that guided sale opportunity, if it might not just be like a retailer-based sale.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And we're not necessarily like seeing the splurge categories go away. If anything, we're just seeing consumers being more mindful. And I think creators bring that to life, right? They're talking about the leather on the purse. They're showing you the benefits, what it looks like inside. They can show that through the video in our app. So I'd love to hear from you. We've made a ton of changes to the LTK app. Conversion is crazy strong within the app. I guess, of the recent changes, what are you excited about to kind of see impact holiday shopping this year? What have you heard from creators about the app?
Oh my goodness. The app, what it looks like today from when I first started 7 months ago, it is a different experience, which is so exciting. When I think about the LTK app and for a creator, I really think about it and talk about it as it's their storefront. It's the same way that you would walk past a retailer or go to an e-commerce site. You are going to see mixed media. You're going to see those beautiful stylized images. You're probably going to see, if it's in store, you're going to see a table with products merchandise. You're going to see video content. You're going to see all of these different ways that product is coming to life. And I really believe that the way that we have expanded on the functionality of the LTK app is to do that exactly for creators. So now we have collections where creators can actually classify content. So if it's somebody who's planning for holiday, they could do holiday recipes. They could do, makeup going out. They could do gifts for less. There's a lot of opportunities to actually classify that content and have it work more for the creator. We also now have price drops, which as a consumer, I know that there's plenty of creators that I go in and I favorite products. And now as a consumer, I get an alert when that product has gone on sale. So really working on behalf of the creator, but then also giving back to the consumer who may be looking for a product that's going on sale. We also launched product reviews, which I had a conversation with a Gen Z creator the other day, and I asked her what she was most excited about. And she was most excited about product reviews, which I found a little bit surprising, because she said that her audience is always asking her, like, how does that fit? Is it small? Did you size up if you wanted those baggy jeans? Like are the mom jeans short? Are they long? And she loves to be able to actually include all of those product details into a review, which takes that back and forth with her audience pressure off of her, but also is just really, again, giving back to her audience. We have quite a few new launches coming up, which I'm not going to spoil because I don't think our team would like me very much, but very, very excited, both from a brand perspective, from a creator perspective, and from a consumer perspective. So definitely stay tuned.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I know I'm biased, but I'm pretty sure I do all my shopping exclusively through the LTK app these days. And I was even thinking, I was sharing some anecdotes on my side to Reesa the other day. Things like shopping for groceries, you can even start here. I have a handful of food creators I follow and a handful of just lifestyle creators, and I totally buy their recs, especially in stores. So I think that's kind of seen that online, offline come to life. And then there's another creator who does not post anything to do with beauty products. And I bought all of the beauty products she recommended the other day. And I was like, why am I doing this? And they were wonderful. I trusted her. So yeah, I think it's cool to see that kind of brings it full circle. Creators can kind of post the content they want in their own storefront, regardless of the vertical and the category. We're kind of seeing that growth across all. So I guess we have a few minutes left. We only have 5 minutes left. This has gone really fast, but want to get to cutting through kind of the noise of the holiday season. So you think of the consumer journey, it's so fragmented. You can see something, be distracted, not shop it right then in the moment. You see it again. Just thinking about how creators, they're kind of the same as brands, right? Like they're competing for market share. They're competing for share of voice for holiday shopping as well. How do you talk about creators to kind of stand out through holiday, and like what comes to mind when thinking of coaching them through staying top of mind and cutting through the noise of holiday?
I think just really about well, two things. I mean, there could be a million things. One, just connecting with the community. They're really the guide for so many decisions that we're making. I know that it's rare that I'm going to buy a skincare product without going to Helena from Brooklyn Blonde's LTK page and looking and seeing what her reviews are. I know that it's very unlikely that I am going to make anything at Thanksgiving or Christmas that I haven't texted what Scotty cooking about and Tegan from Half Baked Harvest. Like, there are so many decisions that we make that we really lean on these creators to help guide those decisions. So there's that kind of one-to-one community that they're really, there's a lot that goes into building that community and making sure that that trust is there, like you said. Another thing is I think we're going to see a ton of video and also just like more creative types of content. There is for sure going to be a ton of those stylized shots in front of the Christmas tree that we're going to see of all of the creators and their families and the jammies. We will for sure see that. But I think that we're going to see kind of more of that thumb-stopping video content that you're going to want to DM to your friend because it was really funny, or you're going to want to DM to your husband because it's a product that you really want him to buy you if your husband checks DMs. There's going to be a unique type of content that's going to come out this holiday, especially as there can kind of be a little bit of a saturation of the continued, if the sponsored post stays stale, you're going to see less engagement. So that more creative content is going to perform. And then I also think just, the way that creators build a relationship with a purchase and a person. So a really quick example is I was shopping last holiday season for my son, and Christine from Hello Fashion had posted this jacket. I was like, oh my gosh, I think Mason would like this. I DM'd her. She's like, yes, Cody loves it. I bought it for him. He opened it up and he's like, but wait, this wasn't on my list. Where did you get this? I love this. He just didn't understand how I came up with this decision to purchase a jacket for him. He then wore the jacket. He was happy. He came out. I was happy. It created this like 360 moment where there was like, a serotonin drip from this Instagram story that Christine did to a purchase that I made for my son.
Yeah, I love that. He's like, oh, I do have, you are cool. That's great. No, that's a good example. So last question, and I know we have a few from the audience, so we might need to follow up with our answers to those after the webinar, but we will be sure to do that. Knowing what you know from years past, what are the unique benefits creators can bring to brands during this peak buying time? So we'll wrap with that one today.
Yeah. The opportunity that they have a built-in focus group. So instead of a brand who, and LTK is able to provide so many insights to brands to help them make decisions as to who they work with, how they work with them, but creators know firsthand what it is that's going to resonate with their audience. They know how to post about the product that the audience is going to ask more questions about it. They know how and what time to post it. They know how to post it. They can also be strategic about how they post. Like I'm sure you see a ton of the Ask Me Anythings right now. And a lot of those Ask Me Anythings are essentially just them now asking their audience what they want. And most often those asks are links. So now it's actually almost like live shopping when they're doing those Ask Me Anythings, because they're providing links in live time. So I say the biggest value that a creator has for a brand is that they have a built-in community, whether that community is, 500 people and they're a nano creator, or they have millions upon millions of followers and they're in that macro celebrity range. They have a unique relationship with their audience that brands most likely don't have with their communities.
Yeah, I love that. Again, it's that authenticity. It's bringing kind of that brand full circle and kind of that story full circle. Well, thank you, Reesa. This was amazing. You are such a veteran in the industry. So many amazing creator insights that you can kind of teach brands and teach us your ways. But it's cool to see we've made so much progress just in the space over the last few months, and this holiday season is going to be amazing. We feel really strongly of that. So again, just for a reminder for everyone on the phone today, we'll be sure to circulate all of the data, but we'd be happy to discuss kind of strategic planning, how we can help assist your brand and really grow alongside you and plan for creators during kind of peak consumer shopping moments